To address you in just a few minutes. But before that, let me compliment Shalini and the entire team here at the MYRA School of Business. In India, we all know what a challenging task it is to start a new institution. And it's even more challenging to keep it going, to sustain it, to maintain high standards of quality. And I'm always amazed when people take on this challenge and do it so effectively. So I must start by complimenting and congratulating Shalini, Wolfgang, Abhinanda, everyone else here who is part of MYRA and who has put in all this effort to start this wonderful institution. Congratulations. I first got to know about MYRA when I started receiving some emails. I think it was maybe 2 years ago, from Shalini about various events that were going on here on your campus. And one thing that has certainly impressed me over time is the range of speakers and the range of exposure that all of you here at MYRA have got. I must say sometimes I'm even envious of the kind of speakers you have been able to attract here, because for all our brand name and everything else, sometimes even at the IIMs we don't get such good speakers. So let me again congratulate you, and I'm sure even if you did not realize it at the time, as you go forward in your careers, you will look back upon all those talks that you heard, and I'm sure there's a lot that you have learned even without your knowing it, and you will find all that very useful in your jobs and in the years ahead. This is also an interesting occasion for me for another reason. I have participated in graduation ceremonies in various capacities, of course as a student, then subsequently as a faculty member for many years. Last year for the first time as the head of an institution, but this is the first time I'm a speaker at a graduation ceremony. So I must thank MYRA School for giving me this opportunity. It's certainly quite fascinating to see a graduation ceremony from so many different angles, and I must thank you for this experience. So let me now shift ground a bit, and it's customary when you are invited to a graduation ceremony that the speakers share some advice with the graduating class about what they should be doing, not doing, etc. So I think I will also follow that pattern and do the same. I think we live in a world which is changing fast, but at the same time, some things remain the same. One of the things that remains very important is that each one of us make a place for ourselves, which essentially means that we have to be known for something, some particular skill, some particular competence, some particular attribute that people look up to us for. Shalini mentioned there are 4,000 MBA programs in India. Well, let's even discount all that 4,000. Let's even say there are a few hundred. But obviously there are hundreds and thousands of management graduates coming into the market in India every year. So I think one of the first challenges before all of you is how do you distinguish yourself, or how do you differentiate yourself in this vast sea of management graduates. You're starting on a good note because you have been through this excellent academic program here at MYRA. But that is only that, it's only a starting point. What happens from now on is exactly what you make of it. And I would therefore like to start by suggesting that you need to make sure that you get known for something. You must get known in the company you work or in the particular part of the business where you work for being excellent in certain things, because that's the only way you will build your reputation as a manager, and other people will look towards you and give you more challenging things to do. I have seen many people like that in my career. I just want to give you one example. There is a gentleman called D. Shivakumar. Today he is the CEO of PepsiCo in India. He has worked in a number of companies earlier, including Brook Bond, Hindustan Lever, Philips, and then Nokia. And I have had the opportunity to know him now for, I guess, close to 30 years. And one thing that impressed me about him right from the first time I met him, all those years ago, was how well informed and how up to date he was with his chosen domain, which was marketing. In fact, there are times if you are a marketing professor and you talk to Shiv, you would sometimes be put to shame because you would find that Shiv is much more up to date even than you are on what are the latest things happening in marketing. Of course, today as a CEO, he does much more than marketing. But throughout his career, I found that he always made sure he was like one step ahead of everyone else in terms of his reading, in terms of keeping abreast of industry developments, in terms of understanding how the whole field of management was progressing. So I'm not sure all of you will be as comprehensively excellent as Shiv has been, but I think there's a lesson to be learned too much. It's called personal branding. But somewhere at the heart of personal branding, once you have made a reputation for yourself as this excellent person, then it also makes a lot of sense for you to start slowly diversifying your areas of interest. In fact, there's a nice term which people coined a long time ago. It's called being a T-shaped manager. And T-shaped managers often make excellent leadership people and make excellent CEOs. What is a T-shaped manager? A T-shaped manager is somebody who has very strong expertise in his or her domain, but also has enough knowledge of related disciplines that he or she can relate his or her own sphere to the other spheres, make connections, play an integrative and synthesis role in the organization. And that's what enables you to go above, say, a functional perspective and be excellent in a more general management role. So, just to go back, the first thing is to be excellent in whatever you have chosen to be. And then once you have demonstrated excellence in that, to slowly diversify your interests and capabilities so that you are able to span a wider sphere of influence and you are able to have a much more impact on what you do in the organization and in life. In fact, if I may just pick up on that last word I just mentioned, I think impact is what all of you should be striving for. I know many times MBAs are associated with money. In fact, one of my faculty colleagues in IIM-Indore used to say MBA is money before all. But I hope, and I'm sure, reasonably confident, that all of you are not going to be driven primarily by money. And you're lucky that today we are in an era where if you're good at something, money is most likely to follow. So you won't really have to chase money. But what I'm hoping all of you will do is strive to make impact in your careers. In the last few years, I've had occasion to attend various anniversary get-togethers of graduating classes to which I belong. So I had the 25th year reunion of my IIT class, the 20th reunion of my IIM class, and so on. And what I found the most interesting is that over time, the people who made a lot of impact were very different from the people we first thought were the brainiest people at the time we studied. And even the class's collective notion of what is impact changed over time. When, of course, when we were much younger and soon after we completed all these programs, so you may have to persuade them, you may have to cajole them, you may have to really go after this if you want to make this happen. The last point I would like to share is, of course, something I have worked on for a long time. It was mentioned in my introduction as well, which is innovation. There are a lot of notions of innovation. And of course, one notion of innovation is to do all this, way out of the box thinking and, come up with these new to the world ideas. But I think somewhere at the heart of innovation is just a desire to do things better, to come up with better solutions, to address problems in a more effective way. And I'm sure with all that you have learned here at MYRA, it should be possible for you to do this. Innovation can be manifested in very different ways. The Japanese, for example, have for many years pursued Kaizen or continuous improvement. That is also a form of innovation. It may be incremental innovation, it may be making small changes, but that is what enables Japanese organizations to continuously improve their performance. That's a great starting point, by the way, to focus on continuous improvement. But we will innovate only if we have the aspiration to do things better. Which again ties up to the point I started with, which is that we need to have a commitment to be excellent in whatever we do. I think if we have that commitment to excellence, then we will also start looking for different ways of doing things. And as we look at different ways of doing things, we'll obviously try to improve upon what we have been doing earlier. So I hope all of you will also be able to embrace this ethic, strive for doing the best that you can, strive for ecological sustainability, keep your eyes and ears open for possibilities to have impact, but in the long run you will find that perhaps the things that give the most satisfaction are those that have impact on a larger society, not just on your own personal welfare and your family's welfare and so on. So let me once again congratulate all of you from the two programs that who are graduating today. My best wishes to all of you. I'm sure you would have learned a lot from your programs here at MYRA, and I'm sure you will all be worthy of the effort that MYRA and you have put in and do an excellent job in your careers. And let me once again, before I close, thank Shalini and everyone here at MYRA for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to be a part of this occasion. Thank you.
Somehow on the way between Bangalore and Bangalore Airport. Because Rishi keeps traveling every second week between Bangalore and Indore, forth and back. So he's seen the airports and the airplanes of India. But he's also a very accomplished professor of strategy, knows a lot about sugar innovation. So if you have any questions, let's open the session for questions. Sugar is a national trait which is somehow built into us. How can we make it profitable at the workplace? How can we make sugar work at an organized workplace? Where the challenge is, how do we get this done?
I think the ability to improvise is something that's very useful tool to have. It's quite aligned with what I was just telling you a couple of minutes ago, which is the importance of continuously improving or building on what you are doing. But I think there is a slightly different challenge with improvisation that we all need to be sensitive to. And that is that sometimes improvisation is not scalable. Sometimes it's not very rugged and it doesn't really stand up well to repeated testing and difficult situations and so on. So my small word of advice to all of you is look at opportunities for improvisation, but once you have thought of a way of improvising, also look at a way that can be made more sustainable, that it can be scaled up, that it can be made more robust, so that it is not just a temporary solution, a quick fix, but something that's more durable and lasts over a longer period of time. The fact is that any resource needs to be continuously sharpened, honed, made as strong as possible for it to deliver results. That's true whether you take a brand, it's true if you take a technology, nothing is static. So that's equally true about human resources. No human resource by itself is going to achieve miracles. That's why I was suggesting to all our young friends here that it's not enough if they just be happy with whatever they have done here at MYRA School, but they also have to continue to strive for excellence. In a way, that's just the starting point now. And they're going to have to build their own capabilities over time. I think, to me, one of the most important things in India is not only skill development. We talk about skill development a lot, and for sure that's important. But we also need to put in an ethic of improving and sharpening our skills over time. And data suggests that India is one of the countries with very low spending on training. So we, even as the industry or even as institutions, we don't invest enough in helping sharpen those skills. But the flip side of that is that the individuals need to take responsibility for doing that as well. So I think we need to create that ethic. I mean, the people talk about lifelong learning, so many different phrases used to describe this, but I think that's the ethic we really need to invite if we are going to take maximum advantage of the human resources, as you mentioned.
The session is open. Okay. It's open. Okay. Thank you.